Welcome to the first episode and premiere of BEASTwriter podcast. I am your host, Ryan Sakamoto, and today we are going to be talking about the 49ers Colts trade in regards to trading away DeForest Buckner for the 13th overall pick. First, let's get down to the cons. The 49ers lose their best player on the team, but you'll have to take my word for it. Just ask the San Francisco 49ers coaching staff who voted him the Bill Walsh Award, which means the best player on the team. Offense, defense, doesn't matter. Secondly, they lose their team captain and their most consistent defensive front seven player since he's been drafted back in 2016. He had played the most snaps of any defensive player and consistently got production while facing double teams as a team's 3 technique. Alright, so that's food for thought there. Another reason why I feel like it's a huge blow to the team is because he plays the 3 technique and he takes on the majority of the double teams, allowing players like Nick Bosa on the edges, D Ford on the edges, and Eric Armstead on the edges, as well as kicking inside to get one-on-one opportunities. That makes the team better as a whole. When you take that player out of the equation, who's going to be taking on that double teams consistently to where the other players can replicate that type of production that got them to that Super Bowl? I just don't see that happening. Yeah, they have DJ Jones. Yeah, they have some of these other pieces like Julian Taylor. But they're depth pieces at best. They're not going to reproduce that all-pro talent that DeForest Buckner provided in the middle and the heart of the defense. It's just not going to happen. And with the 13th overall pick, you're not going to find a replacement. All right, there's no all-pro defensive tackle in this year's draft. That's just my honest opinion. Talk to anyone else. I don't think Derek Brown is on the level of DeForest Buckner if you asked anyone in the league. Derek Brown to me is just more of a 2-down run stuffer. So for me, I don't see him being on that elite talent. He's not even going to be there by pick number 13 anyways. They're going to have to leapfrog the Carolina Panthers in order to provide his services. So in a nutshell, it was a bad move for the San Francisco 49ers for many reasons, but that was just a few of them. He was also the glue to the defensive front, right? And when you lose that glue, that gel to your defensive front, what happens? Everything falls out of place. And for me, his locker room presence does so much for that locker room dynamic. It's such a young team. He was a staple and foundational player. I guarantee scouts were shocked that he was traded because as an NFL scout, that's what you look for. You want to find that all-pro talent and then retain your all-pro talent. And people who say he wasn't worth $21 million a year and look at the Rams and what they're doing and now they're in salary cap hell. Well, you're going to tell me Aaron Donald's not worth that money? You're going to tell me DeForest Buckner's not worth that money? I'm not saying DeForest Buckner's on the level of Aaron Donald because he's not. But who is? He's probably the second or third best player at defensive tackle, right? And think about this. Buckner is not scheme dependent. What I mean by that is, you think Robert Saleh is going to be in San Francisco for the next 5-7 years? I don't think so. That's just not how the NFL works. And whoever comes in to replaces him reverts back to a 3-4. Well, Buckner has shown he can do that. We've seen players with like Eric Armstead who struggled playing in a 3-4. Even GM Trent Baalke thought he was the best 3-4 defensive end coming out of college. And that didn't convert. He played better kicking inside as a 4-3 defensive end, and then kicking inside on pass rushing situations as a defensive tackle. When you take that into effect and into the equation, you got to look at it long term. Another thing you got to look at is, wouldn't it be more beneficial, and people are talking about the Super Bowl window, wouldn't it be more beneficial for the team if they want to keep their Super Bowl window open longer if they traded away Richard Sherman's $12.9 million contract off the books? They would have instantly saved $12.9 million off the books by trading or releasing Richard Sherman. If they would have done that, they could have kept their young fountain of youth, the foundational pieces of their defensive front seven intact. Think about that, guys. Think about it. Who would you rather have, Sherman or Buckner for the long term to keep that Super Bowl window open? Get rid of $12.9 million, retain Buckner, who, by the way, was playing on his 5th-year option anyway, so if they wanted to end the quest for 6, they could have kept Buckner and played him on a 5th-year option, and regardless of what people say, oh, we wouldn't have got value in return, well, that's why you get rid of Sherman, that $12.9 million. Then everything's clean. They're looking for a cornerback anyways, right, guys? They're looking for a cornerback anyways. Everyone knows it. Whether it's A.J. Terrell from Clemson, whether it's Christian Fulton from LSU, or Trayvon Diggs from Alabama. I watched 3 of the guys very closely, or even C.J. Henderson from Florida. Those 4 guys are kind of neck and neck. Now, it's not the strongest class, in my opinion, for cornerbacks. I think if you're looking for a cornerback, you look 2 to 3 years out, and you look at a player like Derek Stingley Jr. from LSU, or Patrick Surtain II, who's a legacy from Alabama. Those two SEC kids are ballers. They're the cream of the crop. If they were to come out this year, and they're only a freshman and sophomore respectively, but if they were to come out this year, they would have been right up there with Jeff Okuda in my opinion. That's how good they are. But that's for another subject. Alright? So we talked about what it was and analyzing and breaking down DeForest Buckner and how I believe it was a bad move for the San Francisco 49ers. It was. But we move on. Can't focus on negatives. Now let's focus on the positives. So the Niners did what? They got the 13th overall pick, and they have now the 31st overall pick, which is their own. So they have 2 first-round picks. The last time they owned 2 first-round picks was back in John Lynch's first year as GM back in 2017, where they drafted Solomon Thomas at number 3, trading back with the Chicago Bears, 1 pick, picked up draft capital, still got Solomon Thomas, their target, and then they drafted Reuben Foster at the tail end of the first round. I can see something like that playing out, and the reason I say this is they don't have much draft capital. Got Emmanuel Sanders for nothing. You trade for Emmanuel Sanders for half a season, give up a 3rd and 4th round pick. What are you doing? If you're not going to re-sign the guy, then why keep him for only half a season to give up your future 3rd and 4th round pick? And then already traded G Ford for a 2nd round pick. So now you don't have a 2nd, 3rd, or 4th round pick. Makes 0 sense. So now what did John Lynch have to do? He was looking at the draft and like, oh, well crap. We don't have very many draft picks. Yeah, let's just trade our best defensive player for the number 13th overall pick. Let's just do that because we need draft picks. And then we can stockpile more picks using one of those first rounders and getting more draft capital. If that was the line of thinking before, then why even make that trade for Emmanuel Sanders? If you're not even going to re-sign him anyways. If they would have re-signed him, it would have been a smart play. But they didn't. They only ran it for half a season, and now he's elsewhere. With the New Orleans Saints, a rival. With Drew Brees. Good luck with that. Good luck with that. That's not a good look facing these New Orleans Saints high-powered offense where I have Michael Thomas, Alvin Kamara, Ryan Ramczyk, Andres Pete, who they re-signed, Teron Armstead. The list goes on and on and on. That offense is lights out. So that's my thinking there. But it does give them flexibility in the first round. So what do they do with the 13th overall pick? Initially, my thoughts were they were going to go offensive line and draft Tristan Wirfs at number 13. A lot of people think Tristan Wirfs is not going to be there, and the way my analytics stack up, I believe that to be true. I think he's going to come off the board at number 8 to the Arizona Cardinals. And the reason I say that is because if you look at what the Arizona Cardinals like to do, they like to build the teams from the inside out. Steve Keim, the GM, is not dumb. He's one of the smarter GMs in the NFL, in my opinion. He does the right thing. He traded for DeAndre Hopkins, basically fleecing the Houston Texans, giving up an injury-prone David Johnson, and got the top 3 wide receiver in DeAndre Hopkins in return. That was just mind-boggling. I couldn't even believe that trade. This is how GMs get fired. Bill O'Brien, what are you thinking? Like, what are you seriously thinking? You're gonna get damaged goods in return, but give up your top 3 wide receiver? That makes 0 sense. But anyways, that's what Red Sea is doing. They got DeAndre Hopkins. Now they need to solidify that offensive line because Kyler Murray was sacked 40 plus times last year. And for Kyler Murray to progress as an NFL quarterback, especially in year 2, you need to give him time to throw and go through his progressions, which makes me to believe that Tristan Wirfs is the answer. Now, Tristan Wirfs is listed as an offensive tackle, but I think he's best suited to start his rookie season at offensive guard. And the reason I say that is because he has some problem in his pass sets. Whether it's jump sets, angle sets, or vertical sets, he has some trouble in his vertical sets. And when you do that, especially playing on the right side, you're going to run into some problems. And he will be playing on the right side if he is drafted by the Red Sea Arizona Cardinals because of the fact that DJ Humphries was just given that big contract to play on the left side. So when you take that into account, Tristan Wirfs would be a great offensive guard. Let him learn the nuances of the NFL game from the inside, and then he can broaden his football IQ and then play on an island in maybe year 2 or maybe year 3. But right now, I think Tristan Wirfs is best suited as guard, but he can play right tackle. He does have all-pro potential. We saw the combine numbers that he put up. I don't put too much emphasis in the combine numbers, but it is something to take a look at. So with Tristan Wirfs off the board, in my dream scenario, that would have been the pick. You got to look at wide receiver. You have to look at wide receiver. Going back to Emmanuel Sanders, you lose Emmanuel Sanders. So what do? I don't think Jerry Jeudy and CeeDee Lamb are going to be there at 13. I think at 11 and 12, the Jets and the Raiders are going to probably make a play for either one of those two players, so they're going to be off the board. And so the only player that's left at 13 is Henry Ruggs III. That's my pick. And the reason I say that is because people have varying opinions on what they want in wide receivers, and you can't coach speed. One thing you can't coach is you can't coach speed. You can coach how to get open. You can coach separation. You can coach how to use your hands, how to get off the line of scrimmage. You can coach how to not take false steps. You can coach how to stem the defensive backs, stacking the DBs on top when you're trying to get open. You can do those types of things. Learning to put your hands up right before the ball arrives in order to throw the defensive back off. These are types of things that you can coach. What you can't coach is 4.27 speed, 4.29 speed, 4.2 speed. You can't coach that. That's God-given talent. And the 49ers need a burner on the outside. That's what they need. Deebo Samuel is their gadget player. He can do the end rounds. He can do the fly sweeps. He can do the quick slants. He can run the intermediate routes, the shallow crossing digs, the bubble screens. He can do all of that stuff. So you really don't need that short to intermediate guy. You need that deep threat to stretch the field vertically. And they really don't have that. Yeah, they have Dante Pettis, but they're not using him. Yeah, they have Marquise Goodwin, but they're not using him. And he's been hurt and has been dealing some off-field stuff. But they need a burner that Jimmy Garoppolo can learn with and learn from each other so they can grow together as one. And when you have a nucleus of, let's say, a Jimmy Garoppolo, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, and whoever the wide receiver is, that's a good nucleus that's going to be with the team for the next 5 years. Guaranteed. So why not give Jimmy Garoppolo the options available to him to grow and mature as a quarterback as well? I think that would be the smart play. They needed to recoup draft capital, as I said earlier, so that's why I believe that the San Francisco 49ers will be trading either from 13 or 31. One of those picks are going to be trading back to get a second rounder somehow in this draft. And another food for thought is Dante Pettis. I mentioned him just a little while ago. He was a healthy scratch in the Super Bowl. A healthy scratch in the Super Bowl. To say he's not in the doghouse, you're shitting yourself. You're joking. He's in the doghouse. He's in Shanahan's doghouse. How does he get out of it? I don't see that happening anytime soon. Do you? With Trent Taylor coming back? Do you? With the team drafting Jalen Hurts in the third round, who has back problems, but he's going to be given a shot when healthy, where does that put Dante Pettis? They already have Kendrick Bourne. He was active, by the way, in the Super Bowl, had a pretty good impact, right? You have Deebo Samuel, and you're going to be drafting a wide receiver high in the draft. So where does that leave Dante Pettis? On draft day, Dante Pettis will get traded. Mark my words. Dante Pettis will get traded on draft day. He's going to get traded on draft day. And a team like the New York Jets, the Oakland Raiders, who need a return man and also need depth at wide receiver, can use a player like Dante Pettis. Remember, Dante Pettis was highly coveted coming out of Washington because of his return ability, his ability to play between the 20s, to take the top off of defense, and again, you can't coach speed, and Dante Pettis has it. He has the lateral agility, he has the foot quickness, he has all the intangibles that you want in a wide receiver, especially at the NFL level. He has the height, weight, speed. He needs to bulk up a little bit more, but that can be coached up. But you can't coach speed. You can't coach speed. So with that being said, look for Dante Pettis to be moved on draft day so the Niners can get another draft pick and maybe turn 2020 into a plethora of picks that they can use and mortgage their future with. All right. Well, that's about it. I hope you guys had fun today on my first ever BEASTwriter podcast, episode 1. I had fun, and we're going to do this all again. I'm going to be doing more of these. Everyone stay safe. I know this whole COVID-19 pretty serious issue, as we all strongly encourage everyone to stay home. Me, myself, that works out every single day. It's part of what I do. Aside from covering the NFL, I'm also a bodybuilder as well as a personal trainer and fitness coach. So with that being said, I strongly encourage you to do some workouts at home. If you want me to post some workouts for you that you can do at the leisure of your own house just to stay in shape, I'm more than happy to provide that for you. I'm always here to help you guys out. So shoot those in the comments. Be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel and spread the word. BEASTwriter is my username. So just look up BEASTwriter, Ryan Sakamoto, something like that along those lines, and I'll be popping up in your search engine. All right? Thank you for joining me. Hope you guys had fun. Peace. Peace.